when you decide that you want to go solo traveling. Oftentimes as a woman, you will get the response,
A woman traveling on her own? Nah, that's crazy.
Isn't that dangerous? What would you do without a man there to protect you?
Hello everybody, welcome to another video. Today I just want to talk a little bit about my experiences solo traveling as a woman, and also talk about why it's such a powerful and transformative experience that I think if it's something that you want to do, you should definitely do at some point in your life. It can really allow you to grow so much as an individual. The first time I ever went solo traveling was when I was 16 or 17. I bought my first ever scratch card for like £2 and went down to the corner shop, bought my scratch card, and I scratched it off and I won myself £2,000. As a 17-year-old, £2,000 was a lot of money. And I was super excited about it. And I decided that with that money, I was going to go skydiving and also to travel Italy on my own for 2 months. And I had kind of always grown up with stories from my dad, like telling me about his travels around the world. He was born in Morocco and he's traveled all over Europe, he's lived in America. Because I've always heard these stories about his world travels and the crazy adventures that he got up to, it wasn't really something that I was intimidated by, and it was actually something that really excited me from a very young age. I was always inspired by this idea of exploring the world, seeing new cultures, and allowing myself to kind of be free and see how things would develop when I'm just there on my own. I went to Italy for 2 months and I had the most incredible time. I made a lot of mistakes and I learned from those mistakes, but after that point, I completely had the bug. Pretty much every summer or Easter holiday, I would be making the effort to like save loads of money so I could go for solo trips like city hopping. I went to beautiful natural parts of like Poland and Slovakia and all these kinds of places. And I really lost myself in the experience of traveling. One of the things that I found was the most transformative about it. When you go out there and you're traveling, it's just you and yourself. You know, you kind of have to develop a sense of confidence in yourself that you've never really had before, because when you're at home, you have the safety and the comfort of knowing a place, knowing a language, knowing the people, having your support system around you. And when you go traveling alone for the first time, you kind of have to have the confidence in yourself that you're going to have the street smarts to read situations when things aren't feeling quite safe, to be able to organize everything for yourself, like your travel, your food, your accommodation, your journey that you're going to be going on. Sometimes you're going to be really organized. Sometimes you're going to just be winging it and going off the cuff and just seeing how you feel moment to moment. Through the process of seeing yourself successfully organize a trip, you see that you've had an incredible experience. There's a real confidence in your ability to look after yourself and to create these experiences independent of other people. When you're at home with your friends that you've always had, spending time in the city that you've always been in and doing the things that you've always done, whether you're at college or at university or you're working, a lot of the time you have this association with the people that you spend time with or the place that you're in about the person that you are. And a lot of the time we are like an echo chamber of what we think other people expect of us. So say, for example, in your group, you're known as the funny one and you're always cracking jokes. Everybody expects that from you. So when you're around these groups of friends, you naturally will fill those shoes, right? Maybe you're somebody who your group knows for being shy and kind of awkward. And because everybody sort of expects that from you, you behave as the echo chamber. So when you're around all these people, you don't really allow yourself to explore the other parts of yourself that you're curious about. But when you go traveling, there is nobody in the entire experience who has any preconceptions of who you are or how you should act. So you're completely free to experiment with developing sides of yourself that you maybe have never really been able to express as comfortably before. And because you haven't got that like association with who you are, you're actually more capable of experimenting with the person that you want to be and seeing the sides of yourself that you maybe have always been a little bit afraid to express, or you weren't really sure if you were capable of expressing. A lot of the time I would come back from traveling and the people that I knew from back home would think that I was kind of different when I came back, because I'd be maybe more confident, maybe more chatty, maybe a bit more spontaneous or a bit more adventurous. When you get out of that comfort zone, you're kind of forced to grow and to see how you deal with those situations. And that character development can be really important to seeing yourself as a multifaceted, multi-dimensional person. When you go traveling and you maybe go for a month or maybe you go for 6 months or a year, or like I'm going now, just traveling indefinitely, you tend to spend a lot of time getting to know new people and new places. And when you get to like the end of that trip, or certain junctions in that trip where you're maybe leaving a certain place and saying goodbye to groups of people, there's a real sense of confidence that comes from seeing the life that you've built for yourself, because you've gone out there on your own. There's nobody there with you. There's nobody there supporting you or guiding you through that experience. You're completely dictating how your experience is going to look and feel. And when you get to the end of like a month or 2 month or 6 month period, and you're just surrounded by incredible friends, you've had amazing experiences, you've built beautiful connections, maybe like me, you found the love of your life. Who knows what you can experience out of that travel. You have literally proven with your actions that you can create a life for yourself that you're proud of anywhere you go. You're leaving that place with a fulfilling life, with beautiful connections and things that you can be proud of. And that gives you a real sense of confidence that no matter what happens to you in your life, no matter where you are, you know that you can go out and you can create all of those things for yourself again. And it really is just like proving to yourself that you are the creative force in your life that can make any outcome that you dream of. Something that I always found really interesting about traveling with myself as opposed to traveling with friends is sometimes when you go with the wrong people traveling, you tend to find yourself feeling a little bit less free to express the things that you want to do and the places that you want to go, because you're always having to like abide to the overall rules of the group. Like maybe you meet a group of people and they seem kind of cool and they invite you to join them for like a boat party or like a water rafting trip, but then you have to go back to your friends and you have to ask them, oh, do you approve of this? Do you want to come and join me with this thing? Are you cool with it? You have to make a lot of compromises when you're in a group of friends, and you're kind of closing yourself off to the experiences that you could have if you were just being an independent, spontaneous person. I find that you pay a lot more attention to the people that you're meeting, and you build much stronger connections with new people because you're not relying on those comfort blanket relationships to make you feel safe. You're kind of throwing yourself into the deep end and forcing yourself to develop new connections with people. The times that I've gone solo traveling have always been the most transformative, because as well as having that time to meet new people and have these experiences, develop all these new connections, you also have a lot of time for yourself. And that time for yourself, it gives you space to think and to reflect on your life. A lot of the time when we're at home in the noisy chit chat of society, we feel a lot of pressure to see our lives through the lens that somebody else is giving us, and to paint a picture of what we want for ourselves based on other people's ideas of what we should want and who we should be, the career path that we should follow, the money that we should be looking to make, the friends that we should have, the clothes that we should wear. And there are so many things that we get influenced by back home that we might perceive to be our actual desires. But as soon as we take ourselves out of that situation and we experience new cultures, new people, new places, and we have time to ourselves, we might have these realizations that maybe the things that we thought we were working towards back home aren't actually the things that we want, but they're actually the desires of society that are being imprinted onto us by all of the people and all of the influences that are around us. We meet these new people or we have these new experiences and they open our minds to something that we maybe have never thought about before. I used to fit myself into the standard narrative that I wanted to go to university, get a good job, work my way up the ladder, make loads of money doing that, maybe buy a house in the UK, maybe rent that house out to people, make more money. And over time, when I went traveling, I started to meet all these people who are living so much more freely and so much more independently, and they were so much happier in the now. They weren't living in the future, dreaming about some fictitious happiness that comes from material wealth. There's a big world out there with a lot of experiences, and the very narrow perception that I've been given from my home country and the societal pressures that I have there isn't the only option for me in my life. And when you go traveling, it can really open your aperture of your perception of life and the potential that you have. And meeting all these different people who are doing different things, you have influences that give you ideas for the kind of life that you want for yourself. Like something that I really noticed when I was back home was that a lot of the time, the people who are kind of my superiors in the path that I was taking, like going through like university and then getting a job that paid well and then kind of living that life where you're sort of saving paycheck to paycheck and sort of living for monetary and material wealth gains. Like I would look at those people and I wouldn't really envy the life that they had. Like they would be stressed all the time. They'd be working their asses off like 40 to 60 hours a week. And the only time they'd really get to relax and unwind would be on the weekends or on holidays, which is like 2 weeks out of an entire year. And then I'd go traveling and I'd start to realize that I'd be meeting people who would be running their own businesses, working as digital nomads, or traveling the whole world and experiencing all these cultures, meeting new people, like having such an adventure in life and really like living presently instead of dreaming about the future of like making money and having all this stuff. They were just living in the moment and they were enjoying each and every second that was coming their way. And I found that I envied those people and the life that they had more. Like I didn't envy the people back home. I didn't envy that lifestyle. It didn't call to me. It always felt like something was missing in that path. But when I'd be traveling, I'd be meeting all these people who are living a life that inspired me. And it made me think to myself, why do I have to follow that standard path? And it really helped me to open my eyes to what I wanted to do with my life. Another massive, massive part of why travel has been so transformative to me is it's really allowed me to tap into a lot of gratitude for the position that I'm in, because although there's a lot of things about the society that I come from that I disagree with fundamentally, I also recognize that there's a huge privilege that comes with being able to even perceive taking time out of your work or your uni or whatever and being able to just travel the world and experience all of these different cultures independently is such a blessing. And it makes me feel very grateful for the position that I'm in and the privilege that I have to be able to explore the world and experience all of these different beautiful and incredible places. And it's something that you should really respect, that when you're traveling around the world, that you are very, very lucky to be able to go to these places and to throw yourself into other people's cultures and become a part of that. And with that gratitude, you really start to learn how to respect and honor the cultures that you're going to, and to really give appreciation and understanding to all of the different places and different people that you experience.
But isn't solo travel still dangerous for a woman?
As a woman, we're still often given this message that you should be afraid to go out and travel the world, but I have never felt like I'm in danger. I've traveled so many places in the world now, and I very rarely have found myself in situations where the fact that I'm a woman has changed the dynamic or made me feel unsafe. And I think there are certainly places in the world where you have to be more cautious about that stuff. We get given a message that a certain place is dangerous by some media outlet or some perception that is coming from a person who's not from that place. And we instantly take on that opinion as a fact. I read this book. It's about a man who basically walked across the Silk Road or something like that. He just walked from country to country the whole way. Everywhere he'd go to say Turkey. And then when he was in Turkey, they would say to him, where are you going next? And then he might say, oh, I'm going to Egypt next. And they say, oh no, don't go to Egypt. The people there are really dodgy, it's really dangerous. And then he'd go to Egypt and the people would be so lovely and so welcoming, so kind and accepting. And then they'd ask him, where are you going next? He'd say, oh, I'm going to go to, I don't know, Morocco. And then they'd say to him, oh no, don't go to Morocco. People there are really dangerous, it's really dodgy, you've got to be really careful because your stuff's going to get stolen. And then they'd get there and the people would be really welcoming. I've had so many experiences in my life where I've been told something about a place that I go to and I get there and it's just completely different to the perceptions that I've been given from somebody who's not even a part of that culture. Like people will read something about a place, one bad news article, and then they'll assume that that is a fact about the entire country and all the people that live there. And it's just not true. Every single place is full of good, beautiful people who are willing to welcome you into their culture and into their lives with open arms if you go into it with that same energy of being compassionate, interested and curious, but also having your wits about you, you know? I think there's always a chance anywhere you are, whether you're at home or whether you're traveling, that dangerous situations can happen. I actually feel most of the time more in danger when I'm in London than I do in most of the places that I've traveled around the world, because maybe it's because I'm aware of the place, maybe because I know about the problems that are happening in certain areas in London, but also energetically, there's a lot of places that I've been told these places are dangerous, but then I'll find myself going to those places and actually feeling the energy is quite relaxed and quite positive, and I don't feel myself being followed or being looked at in a certain way and feeling that there's this energy being directed to me that makes me feel unsafe. So I would just caveat this idea that like traveling is dangerous, particularly for women, by saying that actually I think any place at any point can be dangerous if you go into the wrong place at the wrong time or you're coming into it with the wrong energy. Some tips that I have for traveling safely as a woman: be aware of what's going on around you. Like, accept the situation and see things presently and acceptingly for what they are. When we go into a new place or a new situation, expecting it to be dangerous or expecting that people are going to try and take advantage of you or that they're going to have ill intentions. I think a lot of the time we manifest that for ourselves because the way that we act towards people and the body language that we carry, it communicates to people that we don't trust them. And because we communicate to them that we don't trust them, we're inviting them to treat us in a certain way that may not be ideal. If you go into a situation on the flip side, expecting that, you know, there's a lot of good people out there and people are fundamentally good and kind-hearted, and if you treat them with love and respect, they're going to give you that same love and respect. The interactions that you have, even with people who could have had the potential to be aggressive or rude or whatever, if you treat them with the energy that you want to see from them, people will give you back that same energy. If you're walking around in a new place and, you know, you're hunchbacked and you're acting kind of like suspicious, you're looking over your shoulder everywhere, you're giving people funny looks because you're trying to figure out if they have ill intentions for you, you're going to attract people who are going to recognize that body language, that you're afraid, and they're going to take advantage of that. So I think walking with confidence and like carrying yourself with confidence and being able to be aware without giving off this energy of like an expectation that things are going to go wrong. Instead, just expect that you're going to see whatever you see and experience whatever you're going to experience with an open mind. Another tip in the process of being mindful and being aware, if you're going into dark streets in the middle of the night on your own, obviously you're inviting an opportunity that something bad could happen. I think that applies to men and women alike. You know, getting all of your expensive gadgets and equipment out in a place that you don't really know, really attracting the wrong sort of attention to people who might want to take advantage of that. I feel like it's really important that when you're solo traveling and you're going out and you're drinking and you're having all like the parties and stuff, which are an inevitable part of traveling, particularly when you're a bit younger, it's important to check in with yourself, know your limit, and not really allow yourself to get like so drunk that you're not going to be able to get yourself home safely. And to be able to make sure that you're always keeping yourself in a place that you feel coherent and stable and like you can be aware of what's going on around you. I think it's really smart to make sure that you're not putting yourself in a position where somebody could take advantage of you. I think it's really important to just know your limit and like look after yourself. It can happen anywhere, regardless of if you're traveling or if you're not traveling. Also little things like making sure that you never leave your drink alone, making sure that you always check that whoever's pouring your drink, like you watch them pour your drink so you know they're not putting roofies in it or something like that. Again, these things don't really happen very much in my experience. Like I've traveled a lot and I've never really had problems with any of this stuff, but you do hear of these things happening, and it's really important that you can mitigate the risks by being aware of what's going on around you, like not allowing yourself to just gullibly walk through life just with your head in the clouds, but instead being aware of what's going on in front of you, evaluating moment to moment. If you have an intuition that something doesn't feel right, you should be able to listen to that intuition because it's your gut telling you that something isn't quite right. If you're meeting someone new and they're asking you to come into some strange place that you've never heard before and meet them privately, like use your intuition. You know if it doesn't feel quite right, and it's important to trust yourself and your judgment of people. When you can start to lean more into intuition and pay attention to what's going on around you, I think it kind of keeps you out of trouble much more. Of course, over time when you're traveling, you develop connections and friendships with people, and you can develop a deep sense of trust. So you know that the people that you're spending time with, they kind of feel like a family, and that happens a lot. Overall, I would say that traveling solo as a woman is not dangerous. If you're a woman who is thinking about doing this and you're feeling a bit apprehensive, I really think that you should challenge yourself just to go for a trip somewhere for a short amount of time, 2 weeks to 4 weeks on your own, and experience going to hostels and meeting new people and seeing how that social environment just like oozes an opportunity for you to really grow and develop. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would love to have a discussion with you about all of the stuff that we've spoken about. Are you somebody who has thought about traveling solo? Have you done it before? If so, what were your experiences? And if you're somebody who's thinking about going traveling and you haven't really mustered up the courage to do so yet, what is it that's stopping you? Talk about it in the comment section below. Let's have a discussion. Thank you so much for watching. I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the next video. And of course, if you want to keep up with all my future content where I'm going to be doing many more videos about this stuff, then don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button so that this video can be shared with other people like yourself who are looking to grow in this area and develop their confidence in themselves and build a life for themselves that they can be truly happy and fulfilled with. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.